Hi, and welcome to the Let It Be Page Kit Remix Workshop. I'm Tricia at Club Scrap, and I'm happy that you've decided to join me for this class. On hand here, I've got my printed instructions. Of course, you can follow along with me and maybe from your tablet screen or even a tiny phone screen if you like. And then I've got my entire kit here. Basically, I'm going to set aside all of those little embellishments. And then let's get ahead and sort all of these papers into the order in which we'll be working with them. And for starters, we're going to be looking for what I'm calling the little B print. So we have the big B and the little b. So this is the little B here. I'm just going to pull one sheet of that and put it face down on my trimmer base. I like to look at the rest of the papers right from the top edge while we sort them out. And then grab one of the big B prints. Clearly, it's the big B. Then we've got a bunch of colors here. I want to make sure that we're clear on what's what, okay? So as I fan this out, I'm not sure the order yours will be in, but we've got some, clearly we've got a gold metallic here, just one sheet of that, 3 dark brown. This one we're going to call just gold. It's not gold metallic. And then this is a dark yellow and a light yellow. So it can be a little confusing. I apologize. It's just there's a lot of different shades here, and it's hard to know exactly what to name them. That's why it's nice we have the video. So grab one dark yellow. That's this color here. Then this is the gold. So maybe you would call it tan. Maybe you'd call it, I don't know, what we're calling it gold. Then the light yellow. That's more lemony in nature. So grab 2 of those or both of the light yellow. Then one and the only gold metallic will be next. We'll trim that. Then one of the 3 sheets of brown that you have. So there are 3 here. I'm just going to take one. Next, from the bottom of the pile, there's a sheet of primarily strips. It's got like this brown and sort of dark yellow strip here. Put that face down, followed by the last cut apart, probably from the bottom of your stack. Has a lot of smaller images on it. I'll put that face down. Next up, look for the other little B. Put him face down. And then the remaining gold. And remember, that's the one that's kind of got that caramely color. This gets easier now as we have fewer papers. This gorgeous brown here, 2 of those next, 2 brown. And then the 2 ivory linen texture. I'm going to put the texture side face down. Next up, this is the dark yellow. And finally, the last big B. We'll put him face down and then flip the whole thing over. So we're right back to where we started with those B's. Now, as we get trimming, I'm going to stay organized, of course, with my accordion pocket file. If you don't have one of these, we can help set you up with a workshop or a kit or just some instructions, and you can learn more about that on our website. But that's the accordion pocket file, and we'll file everything needed for all 8 pages into one of these 4 pockets, which I'll call out as we sort through everything together. For our first sheet of paper, we have some choices. We can either trim it at 9, 6, and 3, or tear it into 3-inch strips. I'm going to show you the tearing method. And I'm using a grid ruler here. Now this is 3 by 14 inches, super handy. And I'm even going to use my trimmer base. So I'm going to shove the paper up against the top of my trimmer base here, and the same for the ruler. Now since the ruler, I'm using, make sure it's right side up, I'm going to put the ruler's edge along the top of the trimmer base as well. And then just line up the edge of the ruler with the edge of the paper. And I'm just going to tear. Okay, that gives me a strip, and then I'm going to slide down and repeat the process. So this is flush at the top, the ruler is at the top, line up the edge since it's 3 inches. It just kind of gives us a torn edge look, which is already sort of one of the predominant styles of this particular kit. But you know, of course, if you don't want to tear it, you don't have to. I'm tearing toward me. I think you have a little more control that way. Okay, so now we have all these strips. Let's get them filed. Take one of them. It's going to be placed in pocket 1 and 2. And when you do that, since it's so long, just make sure it goes into the pocket at an angle like so. Then 2 more strips will go in pocket 3 and 4. So those will be used on layout 3 and 4. And the last one, 7 and 8. So we got to spread that print out over 3 different sets of pages. Next up, we'll take our honeybee, our big B print, and let's rotate it so the word honeybee is on the right. I'll unlock my trimmer now finally and make sure the blade's all the way up while I slide this under the clear bar. We're looking for 10 1/4. So when you find that measurement, you're going to make sure at the inches, not centimeters up here, inches. And 10 1/4 means I'm going to add 1/4 inch. So that means I go left from the 10 1 column to 10 1/4. So my newer students sometimes make a mistake of going to the right, and then you're at 9 3/4, not 10 1/4. So it's good to take a second and go over that. Once I find my measurement, stabilize on the clear bar here before you slice, and then allow that paper to lay where it landed. Now I'm going to rotate this in a way I normally don't. I'm going to rotate it so the B is kind of upside down on my right, and we'll cut at 7. Beautiful. So this larger piece and the B piece both go in pocket 5 and 6. And then the honeybee strip 3 and 4. And the next color in our stack is that dark yellow, really, really beautiful, gorgeous, rich color of yellow. We're going to trim this at 6 inches. Stabilize before you cut. Then gather up both 6 by 12 pieces. Stack them neatly together. We'll trim them at the same time at 8 and 4. Now when you have 2 pieces that you're trimming together, that bar is even more important to push on that. Stack all 6 pieces up here. We're gonna count out 2 of them. So 2 go in pocket 1 and 2. And the remaining 4 will be placed in 5 and 6. That's it for the dark yellow. Now we're moving on to this gold or caramely color. And some nice easy cuts here as well. We'll start at 10 and then go down to 6. Rotate, and let's trim at 8 and 4. Gather up all 3 of these pieces that are the same and place in pocket 3 and 4. Then we'll pick up the next. This is a 4 by 12 strip that was next in the pile since it hadn't been moved, which is why I want you to kind of keep things where they land. We'll trim this at 9 1/4. So to review, you find the 9, you go left 1 column to find 9 1/4, and then 6. Place the 4 by 6 you just made in pocket 5 and 6. This rectangle that's on the top of the pile, 7 and 8. And then there's a slightly smaller rectangle in pocket 3 and 4. And then this strip, 3 and 4. And you may notice that as of right now, there isn't a single scrap of paper. Let's continue with 1 sheet of the light yellow. So you should have another one right next to on your pile that you're grabbing from, and then the one in your trimmer base. Don't trim them both. And our first cut here is at 10 1/2, and then 6 1/4. Now rotate the 6 1/4 inch piece so it's horizontal. We'll cut at 8 1/2 and 4 1/4. You just made 2 pieces the same size, going in pocket 7 and 8. Now that smaller rectangle that fell, let's trim this at 6 and 3. Gather up the 2 pieces you made that are the same size, and we're going to place those in 1 and 2. And there's this little piece that fell off the end, believe it or not, pocket 3 and 4. Now you have this other wide strip here. We'll trim this one at 6 1/4 and place it in pocket 7 and 8. And the other piece that fell, 5 and 6, and the same for this long strip, pocket 5 and 6. Again, no scraps. Let's take the next light yellow, and we'll cut this one at 11, 10, and 6 1/4. Now rotate 6 1/4. This is going to be a repeat from what we did last time. Let's cut at 8 1/2 and 4 1/4. We'll gather up these 2 rectangles that are the same, pocket 3 and 4. And then we have this strip. We'll trim it at 4 1/4. 4 1/4, and pop that into pocket 7 and 8. And that leaves this really little guy. It's 3 1/2 inches wide, so we'll trim horizontally. Yes, we will. at 1 3/4. Now don't make the mistake I made. Make sure your blade's all the way up before you cut. So the first time I did this, I had to rescue myself and do it again because I had a really crooked cut. These two pieces are used in 5 6. Now you have this next strip. We'll cut it at 11 1/4, 7 1/2, 3 3/4. Just made 3, I think they're squares. Put them in 3 4. This little piece that fell off the end, 5 6. Then you have 2 strips that are the same. Put one of them in pocket 1 and 2, and the other in 7 and 8. And then grab the gold metallic. I still want to mention there are no scraps. All right, here we go. 6 1/4 on this first cut here. And then rotate and cut at 8 1/2 and 4 1/4. We've done this a number of times now. You made 2 rectangles the same for pocket 3 and 4. And then you have this other rectangular piece. Trim at 3 3/4. 3 3/4. Both of these pieces will be used in 5 6. And you have this remaining strip. Let's trim at 11 1/4, 7 1/2, 3 3/4, and gather up all 3 of those rectangles. They're going to go in 7 and 8, and the smaller piece here is used in 3 and 4. And we're moving to the brown. First cut here is at 10 3/4, and 9, 7 1/2, 7 plus 2 columns, 7 1/2, and 4 1/4, 4 1/4. Again, letting things pile up here so we can deal with each piece. We'll rotate this one that we just cut and trim it in half at 6 inches. And file those 2 pieces the same in pocket 1 and 2. The next strip we'll cut at 11 1/4, 9, 6 3/4, 4 1/2, and 2 1/4. So we just have a bunch of rectangles here that are the same. There's going to be one little piece. So from the rectangle pile, put one of them in pocket 1 and 2, one in pocket 3 and 4, one in 5 and 6, 2 in pocket 7 and 8, and this little one, 1 and 2. I'll pick up the rest of these strips in the order they landed here. So it's kind of medium, large, small. So the top one, pocket 1 and 2, and the largest 3 and 4, and then the smaller 7 and 8. And we've already arrived at our Cutaparts. If you're new, just want to mention that the paper around the perimeter of the entire sheet needs to be removed. And it turns out to be about 1/8 of an inch, but you have those little guidelines right there. That's what you're looking for when you're trying to figure out what has to line up with your blade. And when I'm looking at my trimmer, I look right at the edge of the silver blade here, and I try to line it up with it. Now, the first cut's a little harder because I can't see at the bottom very well. So I'm just gonna cut shy of that line and rotate. And now in the second rotation here, I can see the blade at both the top and bottom of the trimmer, and I can level out the cut apart as needed. You may need to do that. It might be, I don't know, could be just a little off, which is why we do this. You have the ability to get it just perfect, and that's what we want. All right, one more little cleanup cut here on this edge. I like to point out that my trimmer is capable of shaving off a little piece. It's really nice when you're trying to make those accurate cuts. Now, before we trim these into individual elements, make sure that the bee's knees is in the upper left corner of your trimmer base. And our first cut here will be at 11, 10 1/4, 9 1/2, 8 1/4, 7, and 4. Now rotate and place the sweet as can be on the right. You'll cut here at 11 1/2 and 6. This large piece, pocket 3 and 4. And then the honey, pocket 5 and 6. And then this long strip here, 7 and 8. I'll pick up the rest of these strips in one swoop. It's a little easier to deal them up from my hand. The brown, 5 and 6. And this dark yellow, 1 and 2. One of the B strips, also 1 and 2. And the other B strip, 7 and 8. And this one we need to trim. So make sure you have the honey on the right and the bee on the left. And our first cut here will be at 10 1/4, 8 1/2, 6 3/4, and 5. Now this piece is used in layout 5 and 6, and I'm just going to gather up all these little honey jar labels, and we'll put one in pocket 7 and 8, 2 of them in 5 and 6, and 1 of them in pocket 1 and 2. These will be our final cuts together. I'll just again generously remove one edge here and rotate so I can see top to bottom. And you will continue trimming off the outer edges. And if you'd like, just pause the video while I do that. And then when we come back together, we'll get those items separated and filed. I just noticed that I forgot to file this bad boy. The sweetest can be from the first cut apart that goes in pocket 3 and 4. And let's place our freshly trimmed remaining cut apart into the trimmer with Don't Worry, Be Happy on the right here, and we'll cut at 11, 9 1/2, 7, and 4. Rotate. Don't Worry, Be Happy should be on your right. 10 and 6. Okay, this guy, pocket 7 and 8. The square honeybee 1 and 2, and the tag 3 and 4. Pick up the next strip, Show Me the Honey. It should be on your right, and we get to trim at all the even numbers. So that's nice and easy. We'll go 10, 8, 6, 4, and 2. Rotate, and now we're going to cut these into individual pieces. So we'll start at 2. Use your finger to stabilize that while you trim, and then 1. Boom. Okay, so all 3 of these buzzes, 5 and 6. And then I'm picking up the rest of the rectangles we made. This one, it says Friend. That goes in 7 and 8. This one reads Summer, 1 and 2. A journaling prompt, 3 and 4. A tag-shaped journaling prompt, 7 and 8. Show Me the Honey. That's 5 and 6. So cute. All right. Here's, I think this is going to be our last cut, my friends. We'll place it in with the word home on our left, and that's going to be at 8 inches. This goes in pocket 1 and 2. Feels good to be home, 3 and 4. And Sweet, Strong, Ambitious, 3 and 4. Don't Worry, Be Happy, 7 and 8. that is our last cut, and I will point out just one more time the fact that I'm very proud of, not a single scrap in this one, my friends. I mean, that's pretty exciting. We used every last little piece. I will set my trimmer aside while supporting my accordion pocket file. At this point, good idea to lay it on its back because it's not self-supporting anymore. The trimmer is gone. Now turn in your instructions to the very last page, page 5, and at the bottom you'll see layouts 7 and 8 here. That's where we're going to start with our dry fit process. In other words, no adhesive at this point. It's just dry, okay? And then you've got your stack of papers here. So I'm going to take the top sheet from the stack and slide it to the right, and the entire stack that remains will be on the left, and just place those pieces side by side. And now we can go into our accordion pocket file and go into pocket 7 and 8, because we're starting from the end and working our way backwards here. And let's sort of just find where all these pieces will live on the layout, and then after it's dry fit, I will talk through some of the finishing touches. We'll start out right away with this fun little torn strip that's going to go across the top edge here, about a 1/2 inch down from the top. And then take that light yellow strip and run it just below there. I left a little space. And then you can add your little honeybee strip to that. It should nest right onto the yellow perfectly, and it does. Now, from the larger photo mats you have here, we'll start in the lower right corner of the left page and stack them. Nice even spacing all around. Then this wide strip can go right to the left to frame it in nicely. You can see again, the spacing is consistent. Now in that darker brown color, you can place 2 of those vertically side by side in the lower left corner. Top one of them with this cut apart that says friend, and the other with the tag shaped cut apart. It's not tag yet. You'll just clip those corners with scissors. It's what I did. You could use your trimmer or a craft knife and cutting mat if you really want to. Now, on the right side of this page, across the top, find those metallic gold pieces, and you'll place them in a row of 3 across the top with a nice even spacing. I usually go, believe it or not, 3/16 of an inch is perfect. And I use my grid ruler to help me do that. Below those, and we'll add the strip, followed by the Don't Worry, Be Happy border. Then you'll have the light yellow mat, and you can nest it with this guy. And then a vertical light yellow nests with the gold, which brings in the color from the left side of the layout in a nice way. Now here we have this little honey graphic, and I'm going to take my corner chomper, and this has a 1/4 inch and a 1/2 inch setting. I'm going to go 1/4 inch and then open the guides on the trimmer, or of the punch rather, and then slide it into the guide so it's nice and tight, and give it a squeeze and punch all 4 corners of these. This is a 1/4 inch radius, and you can use any standard corner rounding punch. At this point, you can take some of this pretty gold ribbon, and you can cut off a little piece and fold it in half and staple it to the top. This is designed to nest on the jar tag, but I had already used the 3 that were included, so here's our little 4th. We had a 4th piece, and why not use it, right? That's going right over here. Now with all of these pieces in place, let me go over a few finishing details. On layout 8, I stapled this, as you can see, and did my double chain linked ribbon tricks. It's 2 pieces of ribbon the same length, and then just loop them together and pull or tug on it to create that nice flat bow, and tape the ends around to the back. Over here, I wound just, I think 3 times around here and tied this little tiny gold bee charm right to the strip. It's pretty cute. Kind of a nice highlight there. On the neighboring page, once again, I actually tied the bee coin charm right to the twine, and then wound it around and tied a second little bow here. Very sweet. Trimmed the corners of the tag, cut apart, and the mat in brown. Used my slot punch to cut a slot, and then stapled the ribbon to the top. Now to move on, I will pick up just the base of this left side page. So in other words, the gold, and I'm going to slide it over on top of page 8. Then pick up one more sheet and then slide it on top again. So now I have the base, and I verify right here for layouts 5 and 6. So let's take everything out of the pocket 4, 5, and 6. Pocket 4, 5, and 6. The 5 and 6 pocket, I don't know. I don't want to confuse you. And again, I do like to deal from the hand when I can, so I'm just going to try to pick all this stuff up. There's a lot of littles in here. And I like to start out with these bigger pieces. So let's take our large B. We'll put him on the right, and then this other piece we'll put on the left. So I get that print spread across and flip the side where the big B is on, just to add variety if you're using all these layouts together in one book. Now we have this honey panel, and it should have a light yellow mat that nests perfectly onto it. And down below, I'm going to have 2 of these dark yellow kind of overlapping there. And then take this gold piece, and that's going to go horizontally. I had mine level with the light yellow. Over here, I'm going to nest the light yellow with this Let's Get Ready to Bumble. So cute. Above that, maybe I should add this first. Then I can tell. That fits pretty nicely. Now you have this larger metallic gold that's going to nest right into the regular gold mat. And then I've got room for 2 accent photos in light yellow. Now, if you don't have a small enough thing you can crop down to fit within that space, it's okay. Just cover the whole area with a photo. But sometimes it's nice to have photos that are varying in size on a layout rather than all being the same size. If you've ever tried to put like 12 4x6 photos on a page, they're all horizontal. It's not very visually pleasing. So this adds some visual interest to have the smaller sizes. Keep that in mind as you're printing and developing and such. Now you have a metallic gold, a brown, and then this Show Me Some Honey, the honey tag. You'll clip the corners of each one, and I've added a little punch so I could attach this right about there. Now the width of this Just Be sentiment, it happens to be the same exact width, 5 inches of this piece, so it fits under there to kind of continue it on. I love how that turned out. Then you've got this yellow strip. This is going to serve as an anchor over here for me to add the buzz, buzz, buzz. Now I clipped the corners on these to turn them into tags, and I also added them with a brad. Now you could skip the brad, you could staple ribbon, whatever your heart desires. I happen to have a bunch of brads in my stash. You probably do too. So I did 3 gold brads on the end of that. Now here again, we have the opportunity to use these honey labels. So we're going to use 2 of them. And because I can, I'm going to trim the corners at the exact same time because this corner rounding punch definitely does the job. Now take one of these cute little tags, and you see how it nests right onto the jar, the craft jar tag. I'm going to add one of them over here, and then the second one will be up over here. I did some fun tricks with that. Let's take a look at our final page now that all the pieces are distributed. Here you have the jar, and I wrapped the top just twice, maybe even once, I think twice, with the twine, and then added the charm. I almost had to use the twine sparingly because I used it so much. I loved it, but there's 2 full yards in your kit. But I didn't get all crazy with it just so I could get it as far as I needed it to go. Then again, used my slot punch here to thread some yellow ribbon, and then I just adhered it to the back of the layout. Just a nice eye-catching addition of that yellow satin. And the facing page here, did the same trick, but tied a bow, no charm, added it with foam adhesive circles. And then down over here, those are the little gold brads I talked about. I even measured the center of this. Maybe it was a little more work. I think it would have been easier if I just put the brads into the tags and then slapped them on there. Maybe with some foam adhesive would have been cute. But I liked that anchoring aspect of the light yellow there. Plus, I eliminated yet another scrap from the bin. Okay, so now I can take the base of this side, this brown, slide it over, and then grab the ivory linen, 1 sheet of it, slide that over. In your instructions, you'll go back now to layouts 3 and 4 and empty those pockets. Now again, I'm clipping along at a pretty good pace here. If you're, work at your own pace and just pause me as needed. Once you've hung in there with me for a few kits, you will get the hang of it. And I always kind of try to equate it to when I try to do a step aerobics workout. The first time I'm stumbling and tripping over myself, and the third time I watched it, I'm like, I got this move. That will be you if you just hang in there with me for a few workshops. Your timing and pace will improve by leaps and bounds. Okay, I'm going to start out with 3 of these light yellow, and I'm going to do my little 16th inch separation here on our grid ruler. That's 1.5 cubes. That works out really well for spacing. Then beneath that, I'm going to add this strip of the little bee. And then you have the brown. I'm going to nest it right on top, about maybe 1/2 inch down from the top of the little bee strip. And then Sweet, Strong, Ambitious nested on there. Now take the light yellow photo mat, put that on the left, and it should nest with 1 sheet of the gold. That's this one. And then we'll go big or go home. I'm going to go 2 gold right over here. So 2 of this metallic gold here. And then nest them with another gold. Beneath that, you can add the gold strip and nest it with the honeybee print. Now up here on the right, oh, I forgot this guy. This guy is going to go right over here. I have a piece with a straight edge, so I'll just line it right up with the edge. And then you've got this, kind of get that tucked up near the corner here. Below it, you can add a rectangle dark brown and this guy. And if you'll notice, Jacqueline even left an area free of lines that's designed to hold that little honeycomb charm. Then this narrower take, this is Don't Worry, Be Happy, will be here. And on the lower right corner of this side, we'll have these pieces side by side. And then the gold here, nested with Sweet as Can Be. Now I even use this little piece as an anchor in this area of this Don't Worry, Be Happy tag. So basically I cut a little, well, into one short end, you can cut a little tiny V. Look at that. I do this trick all the time, this little V trick. And then I want to go about the width of this, just a little shy of it. Cute. So I've got that going on, and I can bring in one of these sweet little coin charms. So adorable. And I can attach it to the top of that. And it brings the eye to it because it's such a small thing. But when you highlight it with some color there, it really adds a lot. Then you can loop some of the yellow ribbon. That's going to go all the way from the top of this tag up the layout as a really eye-catching piece of ribbon right here. And you can bring the ends around to the back. Should be plenty of yardage of that yellow satin. Let me show you on the finished page how that all worked out. I topped the honeycomb charm with the twine. And then here you can see my slot punched tag topper here, switching all the way to the top. So pretty. And then I just used bookbinding glue to attach this. On the facing page, that's right, there are 7 spots, 7 assignments for those wood cut honeycombs, and they're right in the artwork. So I centered it within the artwork, and in some cases then it overlapped the strip. Perfect, looks great. And I adhered them all with our bookbinding glue and a needle tip applicator. Here I simply slot punched and then stapled the gold ribbon to the top of this tag after trimming away the corners. Here I did my little V cut trick into the short edges and then nested Sweet as Can Be on top of that. For our final spread here, I'll pick up layout 3 and slide it on top of 4. And then pick up this dark yellow, slide it to the right, and here we are at the beginning, but it's really the end. Get everything out of this pocket, and once again, load it into my hand. We'll get rid of this great big 3x12 here. That's going to go on the right side, so just bring some interest over there. And then we have these dark brown mats. Those are going to be placed vertically in this side. And then the light yellow strip across just above with the bees from the Cutaparts sheet. Then you should have 2 more light yellow pieces. Those should nest, so adjust accordingly for them to fit nicely up here. And here on the left, I'm going to add these dark yellow mats. Below that, the brown will nest. Even busy bees stop to smell the roses. Oh, it's so sweet. Okay, this longer strip, that goes on the right. It should fit right within that printed area. Okay, then we've got our honey, and I distress the edges of this. You can do it with a paper distressing tool, or in a pinch, you can even use the edge of your scissors and just distress those edges a little bit. I really distressed mine quite substantially. Looked pretty cool. That's gonna fit right there. And then this last rectangle should nest onto the brown. That's gonna tuck kind of behind here. After you round the corners, again, don't forget that 1/4 inch. You don't want a really big round here. You want it to be pretty little so it matches the jar tag. That's gonna go right in here, but the little collage. And then this guy, I did that same little trick again, cutting a V into the short edge and sliding it behind over here. Great little spot for a caption or something. So here we have, again, layout 2. I did the double ribbon trick again, and then I looped a piece of the twine around the center of it and then added this cute guy. Now he's just glued there. He's not going to move. I should have done that with my other one, but that's okay. Here on this side, we've got twine around the jar tag, and you can see that it's been attached with foam adhesive circles. It's popped up a little bit, and look at the level of distress that I did. Again, the artwork really lends itself to that sort of scraggy edge, which I loved. And then once again, top the honeycomb with what was left of the divine twine. You can see it was really running out, and glued that right to this piece of art here for a nice touch. And again, anytime you've got extra pictures, I would encourage you to just cover whatever art. If you have pictures, that takes priority over the artwork. The artwork is just there to help you finish those layouts, but if you want to put a picture over that, you go ahead, okay? Just prioritize your memories over this artwork. This is just meant to support you in your scrapbooking journey, and I hope you love these pages. I love this collection. I loved it in round 1. I adore it in round 2, and it's wonderful for making a lot of other projects as well. So I hope you enjoyed your Let It Be remix workshop with me. And if you're not already a member of Club Scrap, please consider a membership. You'll save $8 on kits. It's a wonderful value. Each kit comes with a workshop just like this, so that we use everything that comes in that box to help you preserve those memories. Thanks again for joining me. I'll see you next time.